My hardcore world is fast approaching 4,000 days old, and in that time we've built small, we've built big, and we've even built small but big. And today we take on our single biggest build yet, and it's going to be a monster. But before we get to any of that, however, last episode I asked for suggestions of what to name our brand new bamboo themed or cafe, as some of you wanted to point out in the comments. And we've had some very interesting suggestions, but one in particular I liked, especially as it tied in with the pun approach of the real businesses we seem to be taking, is Star Blocks, which was suggested by Cappered, which hopefully I've said correctly. Another suggestion I did actually really like was the Hard Block Cafe, which I think just fits really well, but we'll probably put that somewhere else in the city. I also did a quick Google and managed to find these, which I think work really well. They look a little bit like these Starbucks banners, so I think we'll get a few of those up and around the area. In fact, I think they work a bit better down the bottom there. And they work particularly well here on the outdoor dining bit. That's very cool. And we'll get one in behind the counter here as well. Look at that. Beautiful. In fact, let's raise that up by a block. And I think we can say the cafe is finally done now. Starblocks is open for business, although it has no staff yet. But once again, I do have a plan for that. I'm just still waiting for something. But when it gets here, it's going to be wonderful. So on to the task at hand. We need a massive, massive plot for this build. And I think I've selected one. If we quickly land here, what we're going to do is build in this area here. And that does mean we're actually going to be cutting out a chunk of the river. I do want to put in some kind of a canal or something instead of having a river, just because the scale of the city, I think the river is just going to take up a little bit too much in the form that it is. So we will be covering up the majority of this river. We might leave this bay here, but all of this here will be going. For now, though, we just need to sort out this area here, which means I've got a lot of landscaping to do. I need to bring the ground up level with the path, and, well, we're just going to need a massive area for this. So I'll best crack on, really, and stop talking. Time-lapse time. Well, we don't need quite this much space for today's build. I may have got a little bit carried away trying to blend it in over this way, but I haven't blended it in this direction whatsoever because we need to actually get a road in across the front here. We're going to have the entrance to the building around here somewhere as well. So my next step is basically to mark out where the building's going to go and try and connect it up to the main road. As usual, though, I didn't bring the deep slate or the andesite with me, so back home we go. We've got the roads in, we've got the plot all laid out, and this should work an absolute treat. And I know it looks like a very weird shape, but I promise you it will all make sense by the end of the episode. But not only have we created all of this up here, we've also created a mob farm even Scar would be proud of down here. In fact, if I turn on the gamma, we can see just how bad the situation is. There is stuff everywhere, so I'm going to need to get some torches down there. But that's not the only problem we have, because, well, the problems with doing a massive build like this is they take a massive amount of resources. A massive amount of resources I don't really have. Now, the core of the build is going to be made of white concrete, and over the last couple of weeks, I have actually been collecting some sand and things like that, but we still don't really have anywhere near enough, and I still need to convert it all to actual concrete. Most of it's still in powdered form at the moment, so we've got about 6 shulkers of white concrete that we need to get converted, but that's just the start of our problems. We also need a whole bunch of lime terracotta. We're going to need about a box of spruce, which means we're going to need to farm over there and dig up more of the mesa. But the biggest problem is tinted glass. I need a lot of tinted glass. And I don't just mean a little bit, I mean a lot. And I have been digging up my geodes over the last few weeks. We've managed to collect a bunch of amethyst, but once again, it's still nowhere near enough. And just when you thought that was the end of my problems, there's one more. And that's actually to do with the location I've chosen here, because if we jump into free cam and have a little zoom out, look at the colour of the grass here. We've got such a mix of grass. I wanted to have some nice lush gardens in here. And what do we got? We've got half savanna, we've got half river, we've got a bit more savanna over there, and I don't even know what that is. But it's looking a bit like camouflage down there at the moment. So what we're going to need to do is probably just get a whole bunch of moss and actually just use moss and probably some green concrete and stuff like that as well. and get some grass in here in our own way. So I'm going to need even more sand and gravel for that as well. We really have got our work cut out for us. So much so that I'm not even going to deal with the underground mob farm we have down here at the moment. We'll come back and sort that out later. For now, we need to go gather some resources for like a week. So this is the list of all the things that we need, and I think I have a plan. So what we're going to do is we're going to blow up the desert, we're going to get sand, we're going to steal some terracotta on the way, then we're going to return home and dig up the geodes both under my starter island and the ones we know of under our main storage. We'll then convert the white concrete above the geodes so that they can grow again, and then we can harvest them once more. We'll then go to the city, light up the mob farm to get health and safety off our backs, and then we'll dig up some nearby geodes. While they regrow, we'll harvest azalea leaves on the surface and collect spruce wood from the tree farm. We'll likely then realise we still need a buttload more sand and of course geodes for amethyst shards so we can make more tinted glass. So we'll blow up more of the desert, we'll hang around some geodes until we have everything we need, and at some point we'll probably remember we need to get some moss from the moss farm. At least that one's simple. And I'm happy to report the plan I came up with this morning worked. Although it is now 7 PM and this has literally taken me all day. Because we really did have to get a whole lot of amethyst shards. We've used a good couple of boxes, but we've ended up with a little bit more than this, but this should hopefully be enough for this build. We've also got a buttload of white concrete. We've got all the leafy bits that we're going to need. We've got the flowery leaves as well. We've got some lime terracotta. We've got spruce. So yeah, I think we've got everything we're going to need. But before we actually get started on the building, I really want to sort out these gardens. So I do have some green concrete powder and some moss blocks, and I want to try something out, and that is to see if we can put stripes in the sort of lawn out here, I guess, the garden. So I'm just going to do a couple of sections and we'll see how that looks and see if we're actually going to carry that on throughout the whole thing. Well, it looks pretty good from up here, but I wonder, maybe we should try moss carpets instead. So let's just slap down a bunch of these. Yep, I think that's the one. I think that's what we're going to go with. We can finally get rid of this horrible brown savanna grass that we've been dealing with. Ugh. Well, that's looking so much better already. The grass really does make a difference when it's like this. Although it appears I've missed a little bit of the carpet here, so we best get that put in. But this definitely looks a lot better than the weird, browny, horrible savanna grass we had before. But I still feel like it needs a little bit more of an edge. So I'm wondering, can we try maybe using some leaves? Although those leaves... Okay, that's going to bring the horrible, nasty brownness back. That's why we got azalea leaves in the first place, Beardy. So let's try that again with these, because these ones hold their colour. That's exactly what we want. Okay, I'm just going to sort of wrap this section here, see how it looks, and we might well run with this. I really like that. I think that's going to work very well. It's going to separate the grass bits from the path, and it's going to give us a little bit more leeway when we're actually walking on here. I think it's going to work better from this side. Walking alongside this definitely feels a lot better than walking alongside this. Okay, looking good. So what I actually did in the end was I just focused on the outer border. I decided it actually looks a little bit better when it's like that, as opposed to when it covers every single little bit of the edging. And yeah, I think that works really well. But enough procrastinating. I think it's time we make a start on the actual building. At least it's going to look a bit nicer around here as we do so. Jeez, right, where do we begin? So as you can probably gather, I do have a bit of a plan for this. I've been messing around in creative, which is sort of where we've come up with this shape and how this is going to work. But that doesn't mean it's going to be easy, because I'm not 100% happy with what I've got in creative, but it's definitely a good starting point. So I think what I'm going to do is kind of focus on this bottom level first. So that's going to be the entrance, the bits out the front. I guess kind of the thing that's going to make it all look a little bit fancy. And then we'll see if we can work out the bits going around the outside. So let's start placing a few blocks and see how we get on. Wish me luck. So let's start by framing out the doorway. We're going to have a nice big grand entrance in here, and it's going to be set back a little bit as well, so maybe let's come back a few blocks. I reckon that's a good size for a big old grand entrance, and we want to get a bit of colour into the front of this building as well, and that's where the lime terracotta is going to come in. Have a big old strip of this running up the building. Yep, that should work nicely. However, it has occurred to me I also actually need a bit of iron for this build, and I didn't bring any over here with me. So I think we're going to go check out our spawn iron farm again and see what we can blag. Well, I've got to say, having this farm at spawn has been an absolute godsend. It works so well. Oh, I love it. We never have to worry about iron again. I should probably put in a filter for these poppies, though. Right, that's the iron sorted. Back to work. So the reason I wanted the iron is actually to break up these columns here, because these are going to be rising up the whole front of the building here. And just to give it a little bit of a break every now and then, I think these iron trapdoors are going to work quite nicely. Yeah, that should work. So I also need to get some stairs into the front of this building, of course, so that should be fairly straightforward. And now we're going to sort out these side bits here. So I'm going to do something a little bit different. Let me get some more concrete. That would be helpful. And what I want to do is put in like an angled living wall, I guess, on the front of this build, because I think that's going to really help. And overall, I do want this whole build to look very like green and bright and airy. And that means there's going to be lots and lots of leaves and flowers and things like that. So how are we going to do this? Maybe just up at an angle like this is going to be our best bet. So I think that's right, but I might actually go a couple of blocks taller. And let's bring up the rest of this middle bit here as well, just so we've got a better reference point. Yeah, that's a better height, much better. So let's just get this back bit here filled in. Looking good. Okay, now let's try and get the living wall part of this in. So we're going to do similar to what we did in the calf. We're going to do a checkerboard of fences and fence gates. Something like that, which looks a little bit messy at the moment, I'll be perfectly honest. But now we're going to punch out a load of bits. We're going to get lots of leaves in here. So let's grab our axe. And, well, basically, we're just going to mix this up a little bit and make it look like a nice big green wall of foliage. So we'll just punch out some random patches to begin with. Get the occasional flowering azalea in as well. And then what we'll do in some places as well, we'll just stick it directly on the front of the fences just to give it a bit more depth. And hopefully once we've done this whole wall, that's going to work quite nicely. Something a little bit like that. And I actually really like that. I think that's going to work well. However, we now need to mirror this on this side. And I want to pull up the rest of this central bit. See if we can get that blended in a bit better as well. Yep, I think that's really going to work quite well, especially once we get the rest of the building in around it, because there's going to be a lot more white and other sort of bits and bobs going on around here that will essentially make this not be the entire building, which it currently is, to be honest. I've also sorted out the windows. They're going to be generally quite bushy. There's going to be lots going on, and I've had to do something a bit weird with the glass here because I wanted to get some depth to it, but at the same time, I did want to make sure that it was dark on the inside of this building for no apparent reason. So what I've actually done is I do have the tinted glass behind, and then I've just used light grey glass in front. And, well, that gives us a lovely sort of 3D effect, but still lets the tinted glass do its thing. But now we've figured out the entranceway, we've got a lot more to be getting on with. So I think I'm going to work out the rest of the shape down the bottom here. As I say, it's going to be a little bit weird, this building. It kind of has layers.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
But let's see if we can't work out the next few little bits. And I'm going to try and get this kind of bottom level in. And hopefully from there you can see where we're going with this building. Had to rebuild one wall at the back there, but I think I've got the first spiral in. But now what we want to do is actually get the next one in. So what we're going to do is go back in a few blocks. We're going to start another spiral, which is going to go up to a point, and that's going to loop all the way up. We're actually going to have sort of a green grassy sort of area. Once again, I'm going to have to use moss because we are in a savanna, and then this is going to have leaves and things as well, and it's going to kind of carry the gardens all the way up and round to the top of the building. At least that's the plan. So let's see if we can work out where this next spiral needs to go. This could be difficult. Second spiral is in, and the building's really starting to take shape. Once we get all the leaves and things on this bit that wraps all the way round, you'll notice we've also got the moss in now. But once we get all the leaves on that, that's really going to give it a nice pop of colour, and it's going to break up all of the whiteness. But I think that's looking very cool so far. But I guess the next thing we need to do is work out the hardest bit. So this is going to be the central tower, I guess. There won't be another spiral, but we do need to sort of finish off this one. So there's going to be a bit more moss here. There's going to be more leaves, more gardens going up and round. But we need to get a cylinder in the middle. So let's see if we can work that out. Although I really should fix my wings first. This is not going to end well otherwise. Especially if I haven't got my totem. finally placed my last leaf. Look at that thing. I absolutely love it, but I am tired. It has been a very long day. In fact, this is the third day that I've been working on this episode, and this is the result of all that work. And to be honest, I think it looks awesome. And if we jump into free cam, we can have a proper look at it as well, see how it fits into the city as it currently stands. Of course, there's going to be other skyscrapers behind it, so it's going to fit in nicely. But just look at that thing. What a monster. It's looking a little bit more plain around the back, however, so I might end up putting some windows in these bits here, or I don't know, maybe we could put like entrance to an underground car park or something around the back. That could be quite cool. And of course, we need to sort out the interior because we've got so much space in here, and there is of course a purpose for me building this. I didn't just build a giant building for fun, although to be honest it was quite a lot of fun as well. But I assure you it does have a purpose, but we're going to have to discover that on the next episode, I'm afraid. If you've made it this far and you have enjoyed the episode, please do consider subscribing, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.